Hey guys, Manchester City have just lost in the Premier League Asia Trophy final. Oh, I'm devastated. No, I really couldn't give a shit, to be honest. It was a decent game. It finished 0-0. City unfortunately lost on penalties. After quite a boring second half, first half was much more interesting, but that's what happened. I'm going to talk about the game today, the first half, the players, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to say thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this video, my favourite app on the market, bar none. Genuinely, it's a really good app. If you don't know much about it, it's free. It basically gives you up-to-date information. I was getting loads of live reports, even though I was watching a game, coming through on my phone. You get loads of transfer updates and all that kind of stuff about the team that you want to follow. Be it Manchester City or be it someone else, go download the link in the description below. It's dead good. I promise you. Thank you, OneFootball. But today, basically, City played Wolves in the final of this pretend trophy that no one actually cares about, other than Martin Tyler, weirdly, genuinely paid a lot of money to pretend that he gives a shit about a pre-season trophy. Very, very weird behaviour. But it was another chance to see a bunch of players play and get some minutes under the game. Now, in preparation for this, Wolves were a lot further ahead in their development than was. They've been training for like 3 weeks more because they've got the Europa League game coming up very soon. This was their last game in their preparation. So in general, in terms of their prep, they are much further ahead of us. But you couldn't really tell throughout this game, if we're being honest. City, in general, when I go into the first half, were a lot sharper and a lot more creative. But we did make plenty of changes from the last game. There was a lot more of a senior lineup to start the game. Bravo was in goal. Danilo started at right back. Stones and Laporte with Zinchenko there as well. Rodri played behind. Who was it again? He played behind. Oh, I've forgotten already. Bernardi and Kevin De Bruyne. On the right wing, we had Paveda starting the right, Sane and Sterling through the middle. And this was another chance to see how these players got on. Obviously, there was no Taylor Harwood, Bellis or Tomido in the starting line, which is a bit of a shame given how well they played last time. But I did expect to see one or two of the senior players come into that because we need to give them minutes. We've got a couple of more games after this one, of course. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of them. But this was important to play the actual senior players. Sterling was obviously carrying on as a striker, which was interesting given he had a bit of game time there the other day. Paveda over on the right wing where he played left the other day. Benarbia actually is a central midfielder, so it's nice to see him play through the midfield. I know a lot of people think he's a winger, but he actually played as deep as a number 6 when he was at Barcelona at times. So he can play in the centre. He does prefer it there in general, so it was nice to see him get a chance there. On to the first half, we started exceptionally bright. I've got a bunch of random notes here which I'm going to be looking at. Notably, in the first 12 minutes, we were all over them. Sterling really, really vibrant, running at him constantly, dribbling through tight little spaces, causing all amounts of trouble. At one point as well, there was a beautiful cross from Kevin De Bruyne. He whipped it in with his left foot. Sterling, maybe if it was an actual game, would have probably thrown his head at it and scored, but he couldn't be bothered. I don't really blame him. Not worth the risk of the injury, because you don't want to treat a pre-season friendly like a real game and get injured. But it would have been a goal if we'd had the actual game, I'm almost certain. We had a near post flick as well from Rodri that ended up Laporte stabbing close and nearly scoring. De Bruyne played a whole bunch of sumptuous balls in that first 15 minutes, genuinely defence splitting balls. One in particular behind the defence for Sterling to get onto. He nearly rounded the keeper. It was just absolutely mesmeric there. And then the big moment of the first half, basically the story of the game, about penalties once again. There was a stunning diagonal from Laporte over the top. Sane used his pace to get away, which he always does, we know that. He was kind of tumbled down by Adama Traore, and Sterling set up to take the penalty. Now, he tried to do what he did in the Carabao Cup final. He just couldn't do it. He just placed it miles over. A genuinely awful penalty. And not really a surprise, if we're being honest. And then Sterling also missed the second best chance maybe of that first half when Danilo had a lovely driving run through the middle. Scuffed his shot, but it fell at Sterling and he scuffed a chance right at the keeper when he really should have connected a little bit better. It was an interesting first half. City were by far the better team, genuinely all over them. Really sharp, really incisive. And it's really nice to see against the Wolves team that was generally feared a little bit. If not feared, but respected in terms of their ability. A team that took Newcastle apart in the previous friendly game. And as I said earlier, a team that are considerably more advanced in their preparation for the season. Well, we were much better than them. Genuinely much, much better. Second half, there was a whole horde of changes you expect. Stones off, Sterling off, De Bruyne off, Bernabé off. We had Ilkay come on, and David Silva came onto the midfield positions. Bernardo came on the right, and Kyle Walker went on the right back, with Danilo weirdly going in the centre back, where he looked bizarrely comfortable. We'll get onto that in a bit, but it was quite interesting. Not really much happened in the second half, if we're being totally honest. It was second half was one of those games where it kind of gets really broken up by all the changes. City were probably just about the better team, maybe in that second half, but it was very, very forgettable. I had pre-season kind of like rustiness myself watching that. Sometimes preseason games can be really slow and really kind of fragmented, and this is one of those games where all the substitutions actually lessened the game. It wasn't kind of cohesive. The energy got to the very low levels, and the humidity obviously started to affect the players' performance, and there wasn't loads to take from it. We did get to see a bunch of more substitutes come on. Taylor Howard-Bellis came on again, which was nice after 60 minutes alongside Angelino. Alex Garcia came on and Nemacha. I think Rodri went off, Sarni, Laporte and Zinchenko there. That only really added to the imbalance in general. He got a bit confused and all this kind of stuff. Nothing really happened. Danilo at centre-back, which was a bit odd and stuff. We got to see Ben Knight come on, which was nice. He literally turned 17 like a month ago, which was very weird. Absolutely tiny looking. Came on the left wing. Such a young lad. Looks about 14. The only moment really of that second half was maybe Silva's free kick, a beautiful free kick, and he whipped it over the wall. Good save from Patricio. Connor Cody probably should have been sent off. He basically, someone turned Connor Cody and he pulled him back, which probably would have been a red card in an actual game. Pre-seasons, those things never really count. And on to a penalty shootout, which was really, really bad. Basically, Wolves scored a couple. We missed loads. You missed. David Silva missed. Lucas Nemacha missed the last one. I totally utterly switched off. Gundogan missed one as well. We weren't really good. I think only Alex Garcia and Dino scored for City. It's a penalty shootout in a friendly. I didn't really care. So on to the actual players. I'll start with the youngsters. And the first team, for Bernabeu, actually looked quite intelligent in the first half. Couple of moments where Sane didn't read his passes, I thought it was more on the thing of Sane, and I'll get onto that in a bit, why I thought Sane should be making those runs behind. Bernabeu, though, I thought he looked comfortable, a couple of nice little moments. Didn't stand out as much as the way Tommy Doyle did, but I thought he didn't do that much wrong, and I thought looked in general pretty decent. Over on the wing, Poveda, I thought Poveda didn't get the ball as much as he should have done from some players at times. He made some really intelligent runs. He looked much more threatening on the right wing than he did on the left, given the fact that he prefers cutting in on his left foot. Poveda is a good player. Very good player, but he doesn't have the strength to get past some people, so he needs to have the movement around him and the one-touch passing to get him going. There's a couple of little bits where he linked up nicely with De Bruyne in the first half, but I wanted to see players use him a little bit more, but they were a little bit reluctant to pass to him at times, which you see every now and then from senior players with academy players, which is a bit of a shame. Didn't do loads wrong though, really, but didn't really stand out overly well either, which is not really... he was okay. He was okay largely. Over the kids in terms of... do you count Alex Garcia as a kid? I'm going to put him here anyway. Once again, he came on, looked tidy, scored a penalty, didn't have loads to do. Taylor Howard-Bellis came on. Once again, there wasn't loads for him to do really either there. It was just nice to see him get on the pitch again. He looked comfortable, but there wasn't pretty much to test him, really. It was just one of those games where it's a friendly, so, they just kind of get on the pitch, they look all right, and that's it. We didn't see Tommy Doyle get on, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame, But that's just how it is sometimes. I'm sure you'll get some minutes in the next couple of games. Ben Knight, who came on, once again, though, didn't really get many touches. He's only a small lad. I don't think he's a left winger, really. He's better kind of closer to the striker. He's played on the right a little bit for the under-18s every now and then. But I didn't really suspect he'll do very well in these games because he's only very, very small, very physically slight, and he doesn't have that electric burst of pace to make him useful even at a young age. So it's nice to see him around the first team, but I wasn't expecting... big things from him that. But other than that, there wasn't really many other kids involved, I don't think. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Oh yeah, and there was also Lucas Nemacha who came on and didn't really have a good game, if I'm being honest. The ball bounced off him quite a bit. He fell over a few times, and he also missed a crucial penalty. I'm not going to hold it against him. I've made my thoughts clear on Nemacha. I think he's a good player. I think he'll go on loan again there. So, I don't think he's got really a chance to get in the first team at the moment. He's a good player, but it wasn't really a performance to write home about. In terms of the senior players, and I'm sorry if I missed anyone. I don't think I have, but sorry if I did. Senior players, Claudio Bravo, and a couple of nice penalty saves. He flapped a bit in the first half. Didn't have loads to do, really, if I'm being honest. It was just, he was all right. Danilo looked weirdly comfortable at centre-back. That was unexpected, genuinely. He looked totally at home there, which was a surprise to me. He did all right in the first half, bombed forward a little bit, made a few chances, also... kind of totally and utterly got a bit hasty with a few things as well. Stones and Laporte were largely totally untroubled in that first half in particular. Laporte played a beautiful pass off to Sane for caused the penalty. Stones, totally fine, didn't notice him, which is a good thing, really. He didn't have very little to do, so he was all right. Zinchenko as well looked pretty comfortable. You can tell now Zinchenko, his body language, by the way, even though he didn't have a game that was particularly memorable, His body language is much more assured these days. He looks like a player that feels like he belongs. You know, you can tell Pep's really worked on his kind of positional sense in the team, and you can tell you're seeing that now. Which actually brings me on to Angelino, who once again had a poor cameo. I'm not going to sit here and slate Angelino because there's no way that we would have signed back a dud. Obviously, he's been much better than that over in the Netherlands. He's been like 2 years in a row now in the Eredivisie team of the season. Like, technically, we know he's very good. So the fact that his technique's a bit poor shows that that's got to be a nerves thing or a rustiness thing. He'll be totally fine. Defensively, he isn't great. We all admit that. But then Zinchenko was equally as bad when he first came to Team of City. So hopefully, with a little bit of time on the pitch, the training pitch of Guardiola, he'll really iron out some of those positional problems and teach him where to be and all that kind of stuff. But going forward, Angelino is much better than we're seeing at the moment. So that's why I'm thinking it's a lot of it's nerves and rustiness, because there's no way that he's as sloppy with his passing as we've seen there. In fact, he's famous for being very crisp, very technically excellent. Having said that, there was actually 2 passes that he played. First time to Pavey, the second time to Ben Knight, where they got on the end of the ball, but they just didn't have the pace to get away. It was over the back of the defence and it was perfectly weighted. If that was Leroy Sané or even Sterling, they are getting away from their fullback. So they were very good passes. They're made to look average because of the players on the end of him, because you didn't have the pace or the strength to get away. So there was some nice encouraging moments there. But in general, Angelino, can't really pretend, hasn't been pretty poor so far. I'm not worried though. I'd rather he be poor now than in the season, and I'm sure he'll iron out those mistakes. Some people take a little bit longer to get going. I think it's nerves and rustiness, maybe the humidity, but he'll be all right. Rodrigo, Hernandez, Rodri, I thought was much better than his first game. He's absolutely massive, isn't he? That's one thing I wasn't prepared for Rodri. He's a big unit of a player, and I think he looks a lot more positionally aware, a lot more secure, and he showed his physicality a little bit more in this game. He's going to be a very useful asset. It's going to take some getting used to, I think, because he isn't Fernandinho. He isn't going to run around and kick people and that kind of stuff, and he's going to be a lot more of a kind of composed kind of player compared to what we're used to. But he's obviously an excellent addition. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. De Bruyne, the Premier League isn't ready for Kevin De Bruyne this season, honestly. He looks so good in his little cameos. Some of the passes he played, one way, chested it and volleyed it across. It's just stunning. And then the through balls behind the defence. He played like the 5 best passes of the game, and he wasn't even trying. De Bruyne, fantastic. What a player he's going to be. Sané was just a frustrating mixed bag. The one thing about Sané is we all know how good he is. He's genuinely brilliant. But he has days like this where there's a couple of times, right, where I know I've heard Henry talk about what Pep respects for his wingers. He expects his wingers to make the runs in behind, even if they know like 80% of the time not going to get the ball. He wants them to make it because it pulls defenders out of position, it opens up the pitch, it makes runs, it's all about decoy runs, and it feels like Sané isn't going to make those runs sometimes unless he 100% knows he's going to get the ball. And that just isn't on. There's a couple of times where Bernabé played the passes, maybe one was a bit overhit, but Sané should be making those runs anyway, and he made Bernabé look stupid where it was actually a legitimately good pass, one of them. But Sané just didn't bother. That's the kind of stuff that Guardiola will not like. You have to make those runs if you're a Guardiola winger. You have to get in behind, and at times that kind of stuff's really frustrating. And he had one of those games as well where he's just like nothing comes off for him. He makes the wrong decisions, but it still looked very threatening when we got him in behind. Finally, he could have had a goal as well. He could have had an assist at one point, but that's Leroy Sané. I'm not too worried. There's lots of stuff about his future at the moment, but we'll have to see. Sterling, a very mixed game. Really lively at the start, but then generally his finishing was absolutely diabolical. And he started to fade in the first half. His impact started to really lessen. But he still looks very sharp, so I'll give him that. Of the players who came on, who have I missed? Let's have a look. I can't even remember now. I'm going to quickly go through Twitter and see who came on. Walker, didn't really notice him, so no real comment there, really. Just, okay. Bernardo, thought he's been a bit quiet in both of these friendlies so far, Bernardo, but he has had, obviously, a very testing summer over in Portugal. Success there, of course, but, he must be tired. Bernardo hasn't been as sparkling as we expect. Silva was okay. Likewise, Gundogan when they came on. Nothing to write home about, but they got a decent little run out there. And I think that's basically it, really. In general, it was another decent little friendly, It wasn't particularly spectacular. It wasn't quite as exciting as the first game. We lost on penalties. No one really gives a shit. And if you do, you're totally and utterly overreacting to preseason friendly game. It is a preseason friendly. Players are allowed to make mistakes. The one thing I'm absolutely certain of is that come the first game of the season, we are going to be 100% up for it. I can see there's lots of promising signs there of some lovely football. We're just obviously 2 weeks away from our sharpest, 2-3 weeks away, and when it comes to the first game, we'll be 100% there. I enjoyed it though. Even the second half was a little bit dull. I'm hoping in the next game we'll see a couple of more youngsters like Tommy Doyle again. Maybe Howard Bellis will get a start. Maybe Dionka will get on as well. For now, though, I'm enjoying it. Guys, let me know what you thought of that game in the comments below. As ever, thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this channel. Go download it. It's really good, I promise you. Also, thank you to the patrons. Patreon.com/Esteemed Kompany if you want to get a shout out and all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you for a video tomorrow about something. Who knows what it'll be about. Tell me what you want me to talk about in the video tomorrow. For now, I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my Saturday. In a bit.